Hi, this is the website boy with tutorial number 17, changing case. Now, this is a very important tutorial. Don't miss it, all right? This is going to show you how to change the input of users and actually compare it with your arrays or compare it with functions inside your code. It's going to be very interesting. I wish I can go into detail, but for some of you that are new to JavaScript, I'm just going to confuse you if I keep explaining it. I'm just going to show you what it is. There comes times when you want to check a user's input against a an array, for example, in this case. So for example, you will know that having a variable with a v, we know that this are not the same. I'm going to show you right now, ZD1 and ZD2. Right now, these variables do not contain the same value, do they? One is capital and the other one is a lowercase. They are different variables, right? So let's imagine that you're asking a user for an input on the homepage, whatever, of a website, and they type this string text with a capital. You're not gonna find it in your array. So you won't be able to actually do what you want with the application. So we need to actually change this before we do anything with it. And I'm going to show you right now what I mean if you don't understand it. So for example, let's say you have this array here, right? And you have a user, you're checking against a city, right? City check. So this is going to be a function, right? That is going to check. It's going to ask the user a question and it's going to give us the value of it, right? So enter your city. That's what you're going to ask the user, right? And then when they enter their information, right, it's going to come in a variable called city check, right? So what we want to do is we want to actually run this city check through a loop, just like we did on the last tutorial, right? We learned that. So let's use a for loop to do that. All right. So right now, if I execute this right now, if I refresh here, it's not gonna do anything. Let me just take this off. There we go. So now they're gonna enter their city, and we're gonna say something like with a capital V, Venezuela, Venezuela, right? Venezuela. And that's gonna be not equal to what we got here, so we can't check it against that. We need to do something before it gets there, before we do anything with it. So let's run it through a loop, right? We learned how to do that in the last tutorial. So let's say var, and we're gonna initialize it with a 0. Remember that. All right. As long as var equals to something, right? Let's just say I equals to, actually I is less than or equal to 4. Let's do that and put a semicolon there and say I, and then we increment it, right? So now we say if, let's write a if statement here. If city check is equal to cities to that specific value in there. So right now we are actually comparing the user's input with our array right here. And remember, this I here, it attaches itself to the value of the array. So right now this is equal to the value of that specific number where that array is. So it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, it's gonna go through the array. All right. So right now it's checking each of these values to see if the user's input is equal, all right, to one of our values in the array. All right. So this is the user's input and this is the array, right? And if it does that, if we find that it's true, we're gonna do something. We're gonna create an alert saying, hey man, I love your city, your country, or whatever, you know. So so for example, now we run this and we enter the city, let's say with a capital V, Venezuela, and then we enter, it doesn't do anything because it did not find it. You see, I typed it with a capital V and we only have a lowercase v. So let's do it again. Refresh and let's type it with a lowercase. Venezuela. Why do I always make that mistake? I don't even know how to spell this country. Venezuela, and then enter. And there you go. Now it's true. Hey man, I love your country. So as you can see, we were able to find the lowercase one. But if the user types a one with a capital case, we are done. We can't do anything with our application. So we before we get here, we need to actually change the user's input. So what we need to do is actually say, you know what? I want to ch change this city check, and we're gonna use a function to change it. So let's make, so right now let's change city check, right, to lowercase, and that's what we got to do. We got to use this function called lower. Let me see if I remember how to spell this. Lowercase. There we go. You got to put a camel case. You see a capital on each of the words. Remember that. All right, and the parentheses, and that's it, right? But now we need to actually set this to a value, right, to a variable, because right now we're not doing anything with it. We need to actually set it to a variable, and the variable that we're going to be setting it to is going to be the same. Why not? Let's use the same variable, city check, right here, right? And if I double click it, it is not the same. You see that? That's why I love my co-editor, because if I double click it, I see all these values are the same. That way I know that they all are a match. Sometimes the better way to do it is just selecting it and copying and pasting it. So right now we are setting everything to lowercase. So if we refresh here and we type, hey, enter the, what city are you from? And I type, let's say, Venezuela with a capital V. Right now this is a small one, this is the big one. So capital V, V, Venezuela. There we go. And we say, okay, now we get that code because we turned it into a lowercase. See that? Beautiful. So that's how you do that. And remember to do that. So we can do things with our code before we even get to that, to this code right here. We can also use the uppercase, just in case you are wondering. We can also use this. It would be something like upper case right here, like that. Okay, we can also change everything to uppercase if we have this into uppercases here. All right, so make sure that when you actually write values inside an array, make sure you do everything lowercase or uppercase, one or the other, so that way you can either use the uppercase or the lowercase correctly, because you don't want it to be one uppercase and one not uppercase, lowercase. Just make sure that everything is either lowercase or uppercase. In this case, I just want to make everything like that. And then when the user comes, I just turn everything to uppercase so I know what I'm going to be checking right here. All right. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was able to help you out understand how you can use loops and how you can check for how you can change the case of with a function in JavaScript, so that way you can actually know exactly what you're going to be doing with that user's input or with that a specific function. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, and if you like it, like it, and if you like it a lot, share it, and I see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.